Hello, it's Joe here for Joyrider TV. Today what we're going to look at is main sheet cleating angles. So ideally what we're looking for with our main sheet cleating angle is so that it is possible to get the main sheet into the cleat, but so that it doesn't go in the cleat every single time, every time you pull it in. So if you can get the main sheet into the cleat by pulling the rope up slightly, that is ideal. So what we're looking for is it to be easy enough to get it in the cleat when you sheet in, but not so much but it becomes difficult to get it out of the cleat. It's a personal preference thing whether you want it to go into the cleat automatically every time you sheet in, or if you'd rather sheet in and then put it in the cleat afterwards. This also goes for if you're on the trapeze. If you're trapezing lower down, then the cleating angle will need to be lower if you want to get the main sheet in the cleat. In the opposite way, if you're trapezing higher up, then the cleat is going to need to be higher up so that if you're sheeting at this kind of angle, so that it doesn't go in the cleat automatically, and so that you've got the option to uncleat it easily. Being able to uncleat the main sheet easily is the most important thing. Now, one thing that will change the cleating angle is the rake of the mast. If the mast is raked back more, what this is going to do is the boom is going to come lower, which is going to lift the cleating angle up more. So the cleat will become higher, which will mean it's more difficult to cleat the main sheet, but at the same time a lot easier to uncleat the main sheet. As we're bringing the mast more upright, what's going to happen is where the block is attached, the boom is going to go higher. That's going to bring the blocks more upright, which is going to mean it's a lot easier to put the main sheet in the cleat, but it will be more difficult to uncleat the main sheet. So what we're looking for is one position where we can put the cleat on the main sheet, which works for all of the settings that you're going to have on the boat, so you don't need to change it every time. Okay, so there's two basic styles of blocks which Hobie have been using for the last, I don't know, 20 years, maybe a bit more. So the more traditional style is this Harken with the switchable ratchet. So it's these screws that control the adjustment of the angle on there. The other one, which is the more modern one, this is with an automatic pressure ratchet. So the ratchet engages when the sheet is under load. So this is more modern. So we'll start off just by looking at how we would adjust the angle here. It's pretty straightforward. We've just got 4 screws to loosen. It's a good idea if you've got this, well, on whatever blocks you've got, just to loosen the screws, lubricate them, put them back in perhaps once a season, just to make sure that they don't seize up in there. So I've loosened off that side, turn it over. We'll loosen off this side. Okay, so if we want the cleat higher, we'll move it this way. But what happens, what you need to be careful of, is if you put the cleat too high, it means when you're sheeting in, the rope is rubbing over this part here. So you get increased friction from the rope rubbing here. So it is a bit of a fine balance where to put it. So what's become the standard for us here is to either have the cleat on 2 or 3 holes, notches from the bottom there. So we're going to put that about there. So we're just going to tighten that up. So changing the cleating angle is definitely better than putting another shackle on the bottom block, because putting another shackle on is going to mean that you won't be able to sheet in as tight, because you won't have the room between the boom and the back beam with, if this is longer, you won't, block to block won't be as tight. So there we go, that's how we adjust the slightly older style Harken block. With the newer style one, this one is a bit more fiddly, so, and also we don't have quite such a fine range of adjustment. So what we do is we loosen off the bolt which runs through the middle, and then we pull this plate out. We'll try to do it without taking it apart completely. So where we want it is kind of square or just a little bit up from it being kind of square with the blocks. So there we go, just, oh, it's out completely. So then to move it, it's a case of just moving it up or down one hole, trying to make sure all the holes line up. There we go, and then we'll tighten that bolt up again. So that's one hole's difference on this adjustment. So with it one hole lower, it would be more 90 degrees to the angle of the blocks. One hole higher and it's up there. So there we go. We'll loosen off this side, and then that means we can adjust the angle there. So making sure it's on the same setting on both sides. So if we want the blocks lower, the cleat lower, we'd put them this way. If we want them higher, sometimes we have to keep loosening it just because it gets caught a little bit. If we want it higher, we pull it back so it goes more back in the slot. But generally the industry standard for where you want, if you've got this style of block on a Hobie 16, is in the second or the third hole is generally about right. So what we'll do is we'll get it in the right hole on this side, tighten it up. And then we'll just check it's in the right hole on this side, which it isn't. So I'm gonna have to loosen this off again. So there we go. I think in summary, what we can suggest is you do want to be able to cleat your main sheet, but you also want to easily be able to uncleat it. It is worth practicing the uncleating motion of your main sheet. If you're struggling to uncleat it, perhaps try whipping the rope down with a bit more slack in the rope. That's going to help. So thanks for watching. I hope this has been useful and informative, and you know now more about cleating and uncleating your main sheet and the angle than you did before. Thanks once again to everybody who's been supporting the channel. Please like and subscribe if you don't already subscribe for more great stuff about sailing your catamaran, and there's more coming soon. So thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.